I remember having to like put $2 in gas into my gas tank. And so I see money as security. I know that I have gas for the next 20 years. I never thought I was gonna have anything, bro. Take your keys, Mom. You have a brand new car. I think people really expect stuff to just happen and they don't see the work it takes to get there.
Well, obviously you're very successful. Would you have become successful regardless?
1,000%. Everything that I do in life to an extent is finesse based. That has always been my forte. So as far as like the combo of me and Logan is concerned, he's always been the strategic mind. He's always been the pull and I'm the handshaker. My true wealth is in network and access.
How does someone get started networking like that, assuming they have no connections, no podcast? They just want to meet great people who are levels above them.
I think there's two things you have to do. I think one is you have to understand.
Welcome to the podcast. Really appreciate it. We had a bit of a back and forth online, I saw. You lost $700,000 on a house. I reacted to it.
Yeah.
Then you reacted to my reaction.
Yeah.
What happened with the house?
It was a dream purchase of mine. And I saw all the videos, obviously, and I'm trying to remember like what things you were right about and what things you were just like making assumption on, because you're usually pretty spot on.
I think I broke down your income. I tried to, based on what your monthly mortgage payment would be, assuming you like a 25% DTI. I worked backwards to try to figure out what you were making.
What was the number that you came up with?
I think it was like $2 million a year, give or take.
No, it was $3 million.
It was $3 million?
Is what you came to.
Oh, because
but
of
also,
taxes. Yeah.
That's assuming that you maxed out the house purchase based off of your income. You also could have bought something, lower.
That assumption's probably, at the time, was probably pretty accurate. Yeah, I went into a peaked out LA market. I wanted to make a purchase. I had the means to make a purchase. You guys have never seen me buy a Lamborghini, although you do like the car. That's outside. We can talk about it after. But
what do you drive?
I got an RSQ8. Okay, and I did a build out with Opt Performance from Germany. So it's an RSQ8R. It's like a 1 of 100. I love it.
It's gorgeous. I could hear it pull in.
It's great. But still, I mean, I just haven't made a lot of those big purchases. And I at my age, I try to be a little bit more safe with the stupid that I buy. So when I went into the market in 2022 to try to buy a house, I kind of came out looking for like a $2 million house. And if you're watching this right now from like a non-LA market, you would think like, wow, that would get you like a pretty nice, like, that doesn't get you in the door anywhere in LA. Like it will put you into something that I just didn't really want to be in. So the budget just kept going up, up and up. And I found that house and I ended up getting into like a bidding war with like, I know Stassi was like bidding on it and like a bunch of other like creators. It was just this really beautiful like canyons view. And I mean, dude, that's a $3.6 million house. And by the time my realtors were like, you got to come in with a strong offer. Like, we want to go in at 4.125. And I was like, dude, whatever, man. Like, let's do it. And so I get it. And it was, I realized pretty immediately, like, I was like, dude, I'm going to get rinsed on this, dude. I just bought at the height of the market. Things started to correct right after I bought it. And, some things happened that forced me out of the house in a time that, I would have liked to have continued holding it and letting equity grow in it. And I was kind of forced to get out of the house quickly. And I got just rinsed on the sale.
The agent fees, basically. And did you also,
the agent fees we should
clarify that.
Yeah.
We should clarify.
Yeah.
You didn't, he's an ex-real estate agent, but you didn't clarify that this is not anything that you did that then got you kicked out of the house. Yeah, because people are going to assume that like something went wrong, like a neighborly dispute or...
No financial thing. I mean, I'll put it like this. At some point I'll get a little bit more granular on it, but it became a little bit of like a security risk. If you don't know about what goes on in LA, like if you're going to be a creator or a celebrity or an athlete that lives in like a non-gated neighborhood, you probably need like some pretty heavy security at the house. And even though I'm somebody who has nothing to steal, I don't, this is my watch. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you want my rubber band? Like, you need to be cautious. And I wasn't as cautious as I could have been about how the home was purchased and how I shot around it and stuff like that. And it became a bit of an issue. And at some point, maybe I'll be able to tell those stories a little bit more clearly. But I was basically forced out because of the conditions of the city and just the culture out here and how things happen. And so,
yeah, for security, is there anything you would have done differently in the future?
There's like a whole like play out of how you're supposed to like defend a home, and like there's like deterrence, there's monitoring, there's acute safety measures. And a lot of those I did to the best of my ability, but I just there's just only so much you can do. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you in other states, there's a little bit more response and a little bit more penalty, and LA is just really the Wild West. I don't know how much time you guys spend here, but you guys see what's going on at this current time.
Yeah.
And we've got an extremely weak government and an extremely weak police force as a result of that government. They're kind of handcuffed, and it actually sucks to watch it. I'm talking about here in California, not as a whole. It actually sucks to see it because a lot of the cops can't really even do their job. They're handcuffed. I mean, we've had a number of over the years security issues, whether it be me, Logan, even when I was dating Lana, like there was just always like problems here, and the reaction time is just insanely slow. I mean, you might have someone in your house with and you might wait like 30-40 minutes for a cop to get there. That's one
of the things about California, is that you can't use force on someone who breaks into your house unless your life is in immediate danger. And sometimes you don't know. If someone breaks through your front door and they're not armed, how do you know that? If it's at 3 o'clock in the morning and they seem deranged, how do you make those decisions of whether or not you defend yourself? And if you do, then there's so many risks that come with that as well.
So like, as someone who obviously has had to like study that playbook like in and out and was very, very fluent in it in my last living arrangement, if someone uses some level of significant force to enter your home in the middle of the night, I think even in California that they have produced enough for an assumption of bodily harm. So if someone, I don't know, smashes through your back door and has a mask on and you don't know what's in their hand, I believe, and some legal person will check this out for me, that you have justified capability to use force on them at that time, whether or not they have a weapon, because they've used force entry to get into your home. You have reasonable assumption of risk. Now the difference in California is, man, if that dude does a quick turn and you get him in the back, you have a major problem. And so that's really where the issue in non-stand your ground states, right?
Right.
Is like, dude, if somebody can even make an attempt at saying that they were trying to flee or retreat, is the legal term, you're in trouble, so.
Yeah, and the problem is virtually everybody doesn't know that small nuance when they have their home broken into and they're being flooded with those emotions. They can't make that call in that second, like, oh, they're turning around, or this or that. It's just like, this person's in my house, and they just stomped on my cat. Like, I gotta do something.
Exactly. Yeah. And so for me now, man, I'm a, upstairs, multiple layers of like key fob security protocol type of guy. I just don't want to. There's beautiful apartments all over the country.
You know what's funny is I always thought I live in a house right now with 4 other guys, and I always think if an intruder were to come in, would I be the first room that they enter? And in the house that I grew up in, I was in the bedroom that was closest to the front door, and it always freaked me out that like if there was something like going on, they'd probably go
the first line of defense.
Yeah.
I will say, generally speaking, the front door is not the most utilized option for break-ins.
Okay, cool.
That's not usually, they're more glass guys out there. But just from my past in general, whether you want to think it was this past house or from my days as a, dealer and over the history of my life, there's really no adrenaline dump like having that wake up call. I mean, it is. I would encourage every person that's watching this to have whether you are a firearm owner or not, to have a real drill and a real protocol for those type of events. Because if you think you're going to be relying on your ability to make decisions and come and strategize at 2:30 in the morning with 30 milliseconds of time to come up with something, you're wrong. You should have a full-on fail-proof drill that you've run through a million times that includes, a safe harboring for family members, that includes, your own firearms handling, and what that looks like. And whether you live in the safest state in the world or not, if you live in Dubai and you're watching this, like, just having good safety protocol for all these types of scenarios, I think, is important, whether it's nuclear attacks, zombies, or break-ins.
So what's your advice for homeowners who have a place that they don't want broken into? How would you prevent that from happening?
It just, once again, I think it just depends on where you are and to an extent the likeliness of that type of thing happening. I mean, and everybody has their own, comfort levels and has their own idea of how likely it is to happen. But I mean, all the way up to, like, they make great shields for glass that you can put down at night. They make this gun is going to drive me crazy right now. They make armor tape. So, like, dude, like, I've been through all of this. Like, I went all the way up to, like, 24-hour armed security at $50 an hour.
Wow.
Like, just imagine the cost of that type of activity. Run that through your annual income, calculate your
I'm already doing the math now.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But they make armor tape. I think first and foremost, how are you keeping people out of your yard? Next is, how are you keeping people out of your actual quarters? And then after that, it turns into, like, hey, be ready to go, and dude, those moments are, you'll remember them for the rest of your life. You'll remember, being at 90% on the trigger and just waiting for a target. There's, for anybody who's ever done a tour or anything like that that's watching this, there's no adrenaline dump like that. I mean, it's a mind-blowing thing to deal with, and certainly for anybody watching that's been through it, it's a trauma-inducing event.
How long does it take you to go back to sleep after an event like that? Like, just spend another night in your house?
Never. I mean, I would assume never. I mean, I just don't think you ever really do. I mean, I've been through so much of it in my life. I've been through so many, of those adrenaline moments of, like, car accidents, police chases, stabbings, ICUs, organ removals, felony arrests,
organ removal.
Yeah, I got my spleen removed in 1999, and it's just, for me, like, it's all just too common. I mean, there's a reason why, I have a best-selling book. It's one of the best reads you'll ever read if you're into really graphic recounts. And it just got optioned out for a movie, actually, for a full motion picture, which is insane. Because if I can be the first creator with a full motion picture with a $15-20 million budget, that's pretty awesome.
Congrats.
Thank you. We'll see what happens if it gets developed. But I mean, dude, those type of moments in life are they're harrowing. They change your perception.
And how do those moments in life compare to losing $700,000 on a house? Would you say that was just as harrowing, or do you think that was like, it's not that big of a deal?
Yeah, how do you stomach that? That's a pretty big amount.
It's horrible. I mean, it's horrible. But you want to know really the sense I made of it? I think that, like, having as a mid-level or macro, with who gets to a point where they're blessed enough to say, I've been doing this for 5 to 10 years. Everybody has their lost story.
Yeah.
Logan and Jake and Aiden and Banks and all of these people that I'm with all the time, like, they've got multiple, right? I mean, Jake probably has more than anyone, I would assume. And so for me, it almost felt like it comes with the territory of, like, it's a very unfortunate situation. Shout out to the accountants. I'm sure there's going to be some creativity as it pertains to how that plays out. But like,
was that the biggest loss you've ever had?
Yeah, for sure. Because keep in mind, it was a $700K loss on the sale. So I bought 4.125. I'll get completely transparent with you.
Okay.
Bought 4.125. the 1.125 of that, you could check your math now, was the down payment. So it was I think it ended up being like, yes, it was for a jumbo interest only loan, right, at 3.4%.
For how long?
10 years.
10 years.
I got a really good loan. I was the last tranche before the rate hike.
Right.
So when I got the check back for the house sale, I think I got back like 3.47 or 3, like somewhere in the 3.4s.
Yeah.
And so the rest of it was completely washed out. So it was like 700,000+. And then on top of that, as you were talking about in the video, the monthly float plus tax on that house was about $20K, if not more, a month, 20 to 25K a month. So it was like times 36 months. It's like so to be in that house for 3 years, almost exactly 3 years, cost me like $1.5 million.
I mean,
which is insane.
Listen, very fortunate to be able to say that you were able to lose that amount
and
of money.
still be smiling
and
on
still
your
be
podcast.
smiling and laughing
for
about
sure. It. Extremely fortunate, extremely grateful for it, but just.
I'm curious.
Keep in mind too.
I don't think you're grateful for that.
No, not for that, but just to be here. But like, keep in mind too, the worst part of the story always is when you really keep in mind what you had to make in Los Angeles to lose 1.4. Because I'm taxed at 53%, the highest tax rate in the country, right? So think about that. Like, I had to make over $3 million. I lost basically $3 million worth of work money.
No, there's no way
revenue.
that you could write that off or find some.
There's creative means for sure. There's creative means for sure. It had become an investment property. It was rented out. So there's a whole bunch of creativity that can go into it for sure.
Yeah. Have you made money on real estate previously?
Absolutely not. I've never made money on anything except for work. And like really like brand revenue. Like that is and ad revenue. That's
You're infuriating Graham with that, and we're gonna get onto that. Yeah, that's because that is.
I'm sure it's. Here's the thing, man. I like to say that, and I'm probably wrong about this, but I like to say that I've probably done more brand deals than anyone in the space. Like really, I'm 500 episodes of Impulsive Deep, and I'm 7 years of weekly night shift episodes. And I have had a sponsor in every single one of those, episodes with the exception of a few. So I'm sure there's another creator out there who has done 700 plus brand deals, but like, dude, I put Blue Chew on the map. You know what I'm saying? Like I was one of the first creators. I was one of the first creators to work with Prize Picks. You're probably gonna have to bleep some of these for your sake, but
I don't care.
I've worked with every single brand that runs the circuit, Manscaped and all these brands. I was with them at inception for a lot of these creator programs because I understand creator programs because that's where I come from. And that is where my money comes from. My money comes from sponsorships. My money comes from clothing. My money comes from book sales. But as far as passive and strategic investments are concerned, I've done a terrible job.
Yeah. Well, obviously you're very successful. Would you have become successful regardless? Like no matter what life throws your way, do you think you would have found a way to make things work? Now, really quick, you might have noticed that short-form content has become one of the biggest drivers of growth for the Iced Coffee Hour. After every episode, like this one with Mike Majlak, we turn the best moments into short-form clips that we could then post throughout TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and more. But let's be honest, it takes a lot of time to do it correctly. That's why tools like our sponsor, OpusClip, are a game changer.
OpusClip isn't just a clipping tool anymore, though. It's a full AI-powered video editor built for creators. It can automatically pull in your long-form YouTube videos, find the best moments, add captions, B-roll, and even schedule clips to post while you're away. It's basically like having an entire editing team all for yourself, but powered by AI. Top creators like Jubilee and Darman are already using it, and we use it too. You see this clip Togi's reacting to? That was made with OpusClip.
And right now, they're celebrating their 2-year anniversary with a huge giveaway. They're handing out $5,000 worth of cash prizes, exclusive swag, and even a MacBook Pro to one lucky winner.
And everyone who joins through our link down below in the description gets free credits just for participating. All you have to do is head to to opus.pro/clip-the-future right now to learn more and enter the contest. Again, guys, that is opus.pro/clip-the-future. We also have a link down below in the description. Easy to click that link. If you want to make content, this is the easiest way that you can get so much volume at a very cheap cost, and it's also really good stuff. So thank you so much to Opus for sponsoring this episode, and back to the podcast.
No matter what life throws your way, do you think you would have found a way to make things work?
1,000%. Because I mean, first and foremost, like before the term influencer existed, I was running social media strategy at Lovesac for a furniture company. You know, I joined them when they were doing, I don't know, 50 million annual. Everything that I do in life to an extent is finesse based. I mean, I'm an East Coast guy. I've got the gift of gab. I've got great energy. I can walk into a room and make people laugh and make people happy and excited. And my friend Andrew Flanagan's father told him when I was a kid, he's like, that Majlak, he's going to fall ass over feet into money for the rest of his life. And you're going to have to work your ass off, but he's not. And like, I try to remain extremely positive always and bring a really positive vibe to every scenario. And in a world where we're extremely anemic on positivity, it's refreshing. And so I had this job at Lovesac. I had a 401k, I had stock ownership, and this is coming with no credible background in marketing, completely fake it till you make it, like busted my way through the door there by way of Sean Nelson, the CEO. And I was good there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I was just about to creep over 6-figure income there. I had stock ownership, 401k, retirement, you know, and that's when I was introduced to Logan. We started back and forth. I joined him on the business side first, and then we started the podcast together in 2018. So.
You still have your 401k now?
No, I rolled it over. I do have have money managers. Like I'm not like completely like an idiot. Like I've got teams that manage my cash. But as far as like, you know, like, oh, you know, I bought this in Houston, this, you know, 2-family in Houston in 99 and then, you know, tripled my money. Never, dude. It's more like, oh, I lost 20K in Vegas this weekend.
Where do you get this level of confidence from? Like you're obviously very, very, very good with people and with words.
Yeah. You know, it's something I've kind of always had. I've always had it. It's to an extent, like sometimes kind of non-credible and just created. But I think as you start to take credible actions in life and create an inventory of work, that's when your confidence really goes crazy. Like if I'd come and sat down here with you guys like 5 years ago, like, you know, my vibe might be a little bit different, but you know, you start to put together a catalog of work and successes and best-selling books and podcasts with presidents and, you know, numerous things. And all of a sudden that will boost your confidence. And that's why it's important that people that don't have confidence do fake it, right? And find a way to immerse themselves in activities that scare them. Because that wading into the resistance is what will create confidence for you if you don't already have it. I tell people all the time, the resistance is where you want to be. You know, as Yester would say, seek discomfort, right? Like, that is where you want to live. Whatever is saying like you're not ready for this, whatever is saying like you can't do this or might not be able to do this, and it scares you and you feel your nerves and you sit down and you turn a camera on and you start sweating and stumbling over words you normally wouldn't. You're doing exactly what you need to be doing to create confidence.
But how do you rationalize that confidence when in the beginning of the podcast, or even maybe it was before we started filming, you were like, yeah, I have like horrible anxiety and like I snap this, you know, bracelet on my wrist.
It's been a tremendous undertaking. I mean, my mental health is it's probably the reason why it took as long as it took for us to get the show done. I mean, as much as I show up for my audience, I'll go non-external shows for months at a time if I'm going through a really rough time. You know, I struggle a lot with my mind. I always have. It's part of the reason why I went to substances in the first place and spent, you know, almost 10 years as and all the things that I used to do, because I have to take steps every single day to cope with those situations. And so I guess that's kind of the answer to the question, is like, that's my first job every day. I clock into that job before you get a text back, before I do any of my brand discussions before I talk about 1010 Burger, before I talk about any of the new companies we're launching or set up, new guests for Impulsive. It's my first job, which is get up, rearrange my narrative that's in my mind that might not be one that is beneficial. It's go to the gym for an hour and sweat and continue to work on my body and drink water and do all these things that, you can't, at least I and people like me have to do just to show up to job number 2, which is this, and so, I write a lot about this. I talk a lot about this. It's just something I've always dealt with, and you can see it in some of the first shows.
Yep.
I walked off set multiple times, having panic attacks, and haven't had panic attacks as much anymore. But even a few months ago, if anytime I go through a major life trauma, which it has never ended. I've been through so many and they just kind of continue. I'll be more prone to have those type of panic attacks and mental health emergencies or crises.
Has making more money helped boost your confidence?
It's funny. It's funny because like the confidence and the mental health, ironically, like don't play as much together as you would think. Like I don't know how to describe it. It's more of like just like because like I said, like I've always been super confident. Like I will look back at the girls that I was dating when I was 15 years old or when I was 100 pounds overweight after I got like I always had a hot girlfriend. I always had a bunch of great friends. I always was doing something that people were like, how is he doing this? You know what I'm saying? Like, why is he doing a show with this person? Or how did he get connected to the president? Or why? Like that kind of stuff is always I've always been able to make that stuff happen. So from a confidence standpoint, yeah, money surely helps fuel that, but it doesn't help with mental health. It's that whole like money's going to fix everything. It's like, dude, there's a reason why the problem doesn't go away for Anthony Bourdain or for Robin Williams or for, other people who have endless amounts of money, who, by the way, are also some of the most beloved. They're not, these are people who are like not even really criticized. They're like people that are just universally adored and loved people because it's just something that unfortunately is you got to work on it all the time. And it unfortunately continues to become more and more prevalent because of the phones and social media and everything that we have nowadays.
So at what point in your life, though, would you say that you got rich? And what in your life did improve then, if not for more mental health and like, clarity and stuff like that?
The one thing like that really improves the most about your mental health is like when you get to a point where I remember having to like put $2 in gas into my gas tank. You know what I'm saying? To go to the methadone clinic. Like I remember it. And I had a Ford, this like little Ford SUV that the catalytic converter was like broken on and it would smoke on the highway. And like I would have to like, I remember those days. And so when I see money, I look at like, I see money as security. I don't look at it as like, oh, I could get a bigger house or I could get this. Like I look at it as like, I know that I have gas for the next 20 years. You know what I'm saying? And like, I think like that is the biggest blessing you could ever have. Like, yo, if I don't really this up in a meaningful way, like there's a chance that I might not have to worry about that. You know what I'm saying? And like, that's what so many people out there, have to think about when they wake up in the morning is like, how am I going to eat today? How am I going to pay my rent? And being able to kind of like put that away and to not have to think about that the second you wake up every day is the gratitude that does keep you sane when you don't always feel sane, because you just can't help but feel so thankful for that ability in life to not have to worry about how you're going to eat that day and how you're going to put gas in your car. You know what I'm saying? And so many people have to worry about that. And so that's definitely one of the biggest changes. And then after that, it opens you up to explore and to try new things and to create new mediums and to evolve, where if you're a 9-to-5er, you really have to like hustle. And I did that. Like I remember when I first went over to work with Logan at Maverick after Tokyo, I talk a lot about risk in the book and about calculated risk, not gambling. And so when I was going to go over to Maverick and start working with Logan on the business side, I made sure that I took Lovesac with me. So I consulted to Lovesac for a monthly rate as a consultant because I wanted to make sure that like, hey, like, you know, you just did Tokyo and then you tased that rat and like, what are you going to do next? Like, what if Maverick, even though it's doing $50 million a year in revenue right now in 2018, by the way, what's going to happen? Or sorry, 2017, major difference between 2017 and 2018 for that organization. What happens if something worse happens, right? So for me, I'm a Stradler. I'm a big believer in diversified income, diversified revenue streams, and everybody needs to get into that habit. Like you need multiple verticals of revenue to really feel that security because things happen.
And at what point would you say you became rich?
Honestly, like a lot of my like realizations about money have come from losses, which is funny because I remember those days more. I'll always remember like, you know, when I first started getting like six figure wires, like I'll remember that and like, okay, like, wow, I just got a, you know, check for $260,000. Like that's insane. You know what I'm saying? Like it just hits your account. You wake up and you're eventually gets to a moment where you're just like, it just goes in with the rest of the money and maybe it doesn't even hit you the same. But the days I remember the most are it maybe like the first year I had to pay 7-figure taxes was probably like, I remember the day, like it was yesterday, and my accountant called and shout out Alex. And he was like, hey, we just, you know, revised all your numbers and we have your final figure. And I think in my mind, I was like, you know, 560, 720, like, where's it gonna land? This is when I really first started making money. And he was like, by next Monday, you got to wire out like 1.23 million to the, and I was like, what? And I remember my Bank of America, I looked at my account and the number for the wire had to go down to another line. So like, you know how it's all lines of your spends and debits and credits in your account? It had to go down to the next line. So it was like 1,230, like, and then 0, you know what I'm saying? Like it went down to another line and I was like, bro, this is horrible. And now I look back and I'm like, obviously it was a blessing to have made that much money and to I guess be able to contribute to fix that many potholes. But like, just when you start sending those, and I remember there was the Drake lyric before I ever even made that much money, and he was like, nowadays it's 6 figures when they tax me. And I would always hear him say that before I even started making money. And then by the time it came to me, it was 7 figures. And I was like, oh my God. And now I've done that multiple times, obviously. And it's just been, you know, when you start moving in those levels, it's, you know, that's kind of when you start having the realizations like, okay, like I've made some money here. But for me, the difference with me, dude, and the difference with me and every other creator, and I really like, maybe with the exception of like maybe banks, to an extent, is like my true like wealth is in network and access. Like I just have finessed and like created a network that is like,
I'm so curious. Who is the most famous person in your phone?
Bro, we got to couldn't even believe it. I mean, we can, whoever you want. And whoever you want. I mean, we can get on FaceTime with Dave Chappelle right now. I mean, we can.
Are you serious?
I've spent nights out with Dave Chappelle in Australia and Brisbane. I remember I was in Gold Coast on this trip, and we had done shows with UFC with Perth, but I split off after, and I went to Gold Coast, and I was at the Langham. And I was getting into the elevator and I see somebody walk by me with security. I was like, I wonder who that was. And he turns around and I turn around and he goes, Mike? And I was like, Dave, what the hell? He goes, what you doing here, man? Like, I usually could do a better accent, but he's like, I got this show tonight in Brisbane. He's like, and I was with these 2 Australian girls. He was like, bring them up to my show, you know, in Brisbane tonight. And so I go up there and he does this like sold out arena show. And his manager texts me. He's like, Dave wants you to come back to his red room because he has no green room. He has a red room. I go back there. He's got a giant speaker. He's just sitting back there with like tequila and joints. And it's just me, him, these two Aussie, like, Instagram models or whatever. And he's talking to me all night about like what you guys are doing in the podcast and what those brothers are
That's
doing
pretty good,
for the sport of boxing is you gotta let me tell that story. And I'm like, dude, do you eat by any chance? I was like, do you want to like, should we go get dinner? Should we go out to dinner? And he's wheeling this portable speaker with him, and he keeps playing the same Radiohead song over. He's just as eclectic as you would imagine. He's playing unreleased podcast, him, Talib Kweli, Bill Murray, Kanye, like podcasts.
Holy
I don't even think I've ever even seen the light of day potentially, but we go out, we go to dinner. This restaurant in Brisbane hooks us up, Bris Vegas, as they call it in Australia, all this Australian Wagyu. We go to this club after, and I remember I had one of the most embarrassing moments for me of all of this like fame and is I was in this club in Australia, and it's me and Dave Chappelle literally just standing by ourselves, two of us, his buddies DJing, and this Aussie, like 17-year-old Aussie kid or maybe a little bit older, comes up to me in front of Dave and goes, "Hey, can I get a picture with you?" Because he's a new age YouTube, and I wanted to say, dude, do you know who you're in front of right now? This is the greatest comic of all time, potentially. Like, are you? And I think I did. I think I pulled him around and said that to him. But dude, it's that has always been my forte. So as far as like the combo of me and Logan is concerned, he's always been the business side. He's always been the strategic mind. He's always been the pull, and I'm the handshaker. And truthfully, like there's a bunch of comparatives and complementaries. Like, you've got Fanatics with Michael Rubin. He's got a right hand named Will Macris, who is incredible at handshakes and room work. That is my bread and butter. That is what I do. If I told you how many of the guests that were on Impulsive that were relationships of mine that were brought on because I had spent 3 days with them in Vegas and out every night at XS, and they were going to fly into Saudi Arabia, and I said, okay, I have the plug in Riyadh or in Jeddah, and I connect them with, Faisal, shout out Faisal. And, I've worked every country on this planet and have the plug everywhere. Like when I go to Copenhagen in 2 weeks and I want to go to a beach town in Sweden, in a car, like the car will be ready, that's what I do. For me, I'm just like a big relationships guy, and I truly care about people. And that goes from all the way from, Chappelle and those type of people all the way down to my audience,
Do you have
not down to, but like across to my audience. Like even how I said that, it's not what I need.
Do you have to like networking to be good at
100%.
You do
100%, dude. Cause also like
you can't fake this. I'm just saying, like for the audience, let's just say there's someone out there who doesn't know anybody, but they want.
Graham doesn't like networking.
I hate networking.
So does Logan. You couldn't drag him to anything. He just doesn't do it. And so what does it take? I mean, and how do you do it? Once again, it's definitely making a conscious decision to go swim in the water and to go towards the resistance. The idea, like, dude, I can't tell you how many times I've gone out in, I was at the Box in London with Alex from the Chainsmokers. These are all just random nights that just pop in my mind, and like a couple business guys, maybe like 2 months ago. And they'll hang out there, but at some point in the night, it was like 4 a.m, I make a decision where I'm just like, I think there's more to see tonight, and I'll just go explore. Like I'll just go out, and depending on where I am, maybe security, maybe not, whatever. And I'll go, and I ran into a group of young Macedonian dudes. And they were like, let's go to the casino. And I'm like, let's go. And all of a sudden, that's my new crew for the night. Like, it's not just Chappelle. It's like, dude, I will hang out with anyone. To your point, love meeting people. And I don't care what you do. I'll sit and talk at the bus stop and talk to a person at the bus stop for 20 minutes.
How do you keep in touch with everybody, though? Because I can only handle maybe 10 people on my phone.
If you even saw, dude,
But really quick, here's a fun fact for you. If you're looking for an easy way to cut back on your expenses without really changing your lifestyle, then your phone bill is one of the best places to start. Most people are still paying $60, $80, or even more than $100 a month on something they barely even think about. That's why we're really excited to be partnering with today's sponsor, Helium Mobile, because they're doing phone service completely different.
I know this might sound crazy, but Helium has a plan that is literally $0 per month. They give you 3 gigabytes of data, 100 minutes of calls, and 300 texts with no contract, no credit card, and yes, it actually works. It's absolutely perfect if you're just a light user or you want a cheap second phone line.
They also just launched the Sprout plan made specifically for kids. For $5 a month, your kid gets their own line, and you get full control to set limits, approve usage, and even manage how they spend rewards from inside of the app.
And if you want more data, you can have the Air plan at just $15 per month. You get 10 gigabytes of data, or you can use the Infinity plan at $30 per month for unlimited data, which is so much cheaper than traditional carriers. The way they can do this is with a hybrid network where you get full 5G nationwide from T-Mobile plus extra coverage from the Helium community-powered network. It's kind of like the Airbnb of telecom, if that makes any sense. And you actually earn cloud points from using your phone, which you can redeem for gift cards to brands like Amazon and Apple.
Use the link in the description to try Helium Mobile today and enter the code COFFEE to get $10 of cloud points, which could be redeemed towards gift cards to your favorite brands after 90 days. Again, the link is down below in the description. Thank you so much, and now let's get back to the episode.
If you even could, today might even better slowed it. Like, look at, those are just from while we sat down.
No
that's
way.
Just since we sat down, those blue dots.
Oh, dude, this is every, few minutes.
No, not even. It's like,
oh my gosh.
Like every minute you're getting a new text.
358, 346, 339, 38, 36, 32, 32, 27, 18, 17, 12, 309. That's all in the last
and
hour.
And I don't know. I mean, if you see any name, there's might be some names that you know in there, but it's it's usually like there's business stuff, there's travel planning, there's,
oh my God.
It's like it just never really ends.
Holy,
that is hilarious.
It's not.
Wait, so how often are you just leaving people on red and just
all the time?
Yeah,
all the time. I did the classic story that everybody always talks about is one of Jimmy's Beast's favorite thing to do is to call creators when he goes for walks.
Yeah.
Everybody knows this, right? And he has brought it up multiple times on shows. He's like, the only person that doesn't answer my call is Mike. Doesn't answer my call, doesn't respond to my... I'm like, dude, the greatest mind in our generation, in our group, in our creative set, Jimmy is a genius, an actual genius, but I don't always see it. I won't see it. It'll get mixed up with,
the guy at the bus stop.
Literally, literally, or the bottle girls from Atlanta, or whoever, right? And it's just, I think a certain level of the networking thing is just priority control, which obviously even in certain cases Beast is a failure on my part, but managing the alligator closest to the boat.
How does someone get started networking like that, assuming they have no connections, no podcast? They just want to meet great people who are levels above them.
I think every city has players. They're not us, right? But in Orange, Connecticut, which is a city of probably 20,000 people, there's someone there that is connected to someone above them. It's to an extent, I hate to use the term, but they call it ladder climbing. And you know what I'm saying? One room just is simply going to put you in the next one. And the first room is not going to be attractive. It wasn't for me. My first room might have been an AA meeting. The first person that ever gave me a chance was this lady named Denise, who was doing freelance work with AOL. And she was like, I just like your energy. I think you're a good person. And I want to give you a chance taking pictures and writing about local businesses. You know what I'm saying? And now the room is Mar-a-Lago. You know what I'm saying? Or it's somewhere in Abu Dhabi. You know what I'm saying? Or I've got deals now in Dubai. I've done a ton of work with Saudi. It's wild how some creative application could bring you to places that you never thought it would, especially in 2025.
Couple things. That's funny you're using that chapstick, because I went on Amazon and I sorted by the cheapest per chapstick, because they tell you the
by
price
unit.
per count.
I see this.
Yeah, by unit. That's the cheapest one.
So this shirt was sent to me by Culture Kings. I did not pay for it. This hat was sent to me by a guy named Og11 is his company. He sends these to me for free. These shoes, these Travises, I got as a brand deal with a clothing store. I'm so cheap, dude. Like I really I'm just such a like I don't like spending money on. I just don't. I get offended by it. I've always been around like reckless spenders that like just make me like cringe a little bit. And Logan was always kind of an example of that because he has just different habits than I do. But now it's like Aiden is like watching Aiden is just, I've never seen anything like that before.
I'm curious, what about Aiden?
I mean, dude, he'll book he'll book a Miami to Vegas to LA to San Diego to Vegas to LA to San Diego to Vegas to Miami jet. Like, as opposed to normal people who will book a private jet, like normal rich people who book a private jet based on their legs that they know they're doing. Then, like, he'll be like, nah, I'm not going on that anymore. And the jet's like, well, I mean, you paid in the cruise here and you're paying for this, right? And Aiden's like...
Is he paying that out of pocket or does he have, like, sponsors? Yeah, he's paying out of pocket.
Yeah, it's out of pocket. But he has money.
So how much is something like that going to cost?
20, 30 grand, probably.
What, for the one leg?
For one
leg. It depends on the leg. I mean, he
jump
could
hundreds of thousands of dollars just like that.
I just am always shocked when he does like that, because I've known Aiden now for like, a good several years, and we lived obviously together in the Clybourne house with Banks, and he's just the one thing I will say about him is he just doesn't understand real life, because he was like 18 or 19 when he started making absurd amounts of money, so he never had to put $2 in his gas tank.
Yeah.
But
have you ever tried to talk to him and say, hey man, maybe we should dial back 20%?
Yeah, about something that I'm not even going to begin to talk about, but he's got some stuff coming up that is... I tried. Just so everyone know, I tried. I tried my absolute best. I love Aiden. He's incredible. And Tav manages him now, and that's my best friend. And Tav has done a good job of keeping him within reason. But he just, I guess, I don't know. I guess some people I see outside of the industry all the time. I mean, you get some of these people that have just levels of money that doesn't make sense, and I've
joked that if someone pays me $100,000 a year, I will save them 10x that.
Yeah,
as long as they just call me before and I approve or disallow spending.
The thing is some of them don't want it, dude. Like I remember I had this guy fly us from LA to Miami for F1, and this was several years ago, and G650 and the whole nine, and there's like 7 of us on the jet, and he's like, hey, there's these 3 girls in Vegas that I want to fly out here. I was like, okay, like sick. What are you gonna do? You're gonna book them tickets on the flight or whatever? He sent a 550 to just grab them. Like they treat jets like taxis, and a 550 Vegas to Miami is
80 grand.
Yeah,
right?
Something like that. Maybe, because it's such a great jet. But like,
gosh,
some of these people don't want your advice. And by the way, they'll be mad at you. Like I've had people be like, if you're their guest, especially like if I'm in Saudi or in one of these countries that their culture is to take care of you. Like I've had times where I've just been like, dude, I don't need that. Like you don't need to send a Maybach to pick me up at the and I have so many random stories that when you ask me questions, I just think of them. Like I remember my ex she got like, remember when those floods were in Dubai?
Yeah.
She got diverted to Abu Dhabi. She was flying through Qatar and a QSui on Qatar Airways, and she got diverted to Abu Dhabi, and she was going to have to wait like some like very manageable amount of time to like take like a hop over from Abu Dhabi to Dubai or whatever, or from Qatar to Dubai, whatever. She got stuck at one of those airports, and they were just like, we'll pick her up and drive like across an entire country in this like extended Range Rover autobiography. Like they just, in certain places, the Arab culture is extremely hospitable. It's part of their culture. Like you cannot say no to these people. You can't. They won't allow it. I've had them come up to me at restaurants and be like, you're not eating here tonight. You're eating at my home. And one time I said no, and they'll pull on your beard. It's like a sign of like, we don't accept your answer. And like, like I said, like I'll do anything. So I'll just go to their house and eat with their family. Like I'm a really like adventurous person.
Have you ever seen money change people for the worse?
It's not often that you're around for moment of inception as well as the timeline it takes to see that type of change occur. I don't know, dude. Truthfully, like, I'm around great people. Like, I really cherish, I think because of how I curate my circle and how I think about my network and the people I spend time with, like, I love all the people that I'm around. And so what that means is they're the ones leaving the big tips at the tables. They're the ones, like, always saying thank you, always saying, like, you know, being appreciative of their teams, of the people that we work alongside. Like, you know, some of it has been learned and some of it had to be instructed or, you know, didn't come intuitive to a 18 or 19 or 20-year-old with millions of dollars. But, like, I don't know. I've been very blessed to not really witness these nasty people that you know, or people that are affected by money like that. You know, I see a lot of giving. I see a lot of Steve will do it. I see a lot of Aiden does. Aiden employs probably 40 people. I mean, every one of his friends is on payroll. You know, I mean, it's like I see a lot of good and a lot of people that get bad names.
I'm curious, what separates that from a lot of the people who feel like they're stuck in a victim mindset?
That is the separation. It's because they're not doing that, right? Like, maybe at one point they were, but it's just that strategy is just not. It's just not going to bring you anywhere in life. It's just not. I mean, do you guys think that, like, how would you describe that? You know, like they get into this, like, woe of me state of mind and they just kind of live there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it seems like in your life, you've really seen and optimized for opportunity and that you see the positive in just about anything. And the sky is opened up for you in a sense because you're able to see what so many people don't. And I think when you're in that mindset of just like, I can't do it, everything I do fails.
But it's not everything I do fails. It's like everything around me fails me. That's more the victim mindset. Is like, I tried this and then this person cheated me out of this money. Or like, I was just walking and then I tripped and I fell. Or like, I was it's a stupid one. Like, I was driving and, you know, a brick fell out of the car in front of me and smashed my windshield and I have to put it on credit because I don't have the cash. Like, how am I supposed to start my own business when I have this?
Right.
And I'm tripping and falling everywhere I go.
Life is hard, dude. And I don't even really fault those people because, and I want them to not be like that. And I certainly had points in my life where I was like that. But I think there's two things you have to do. I think one is you have to understand, and these are both of these things are so cliche. You have to understand how long this whole thing, hopefully, if you're blessed and things work out for you in life, how long this life is. I think people really expect stuff to just happen, you know, and they don't see the failures. I mean, dude, I spent a really, really good chunk of my life just fighting every single day to survive. Like, you look at me now and, you know, and if you didn't know my backstory, and luckily I've been so vocal about it that, like, the majority of people do, but you don't know my backstory. You just see someone who everything kind of happened for, you know, like it kind of just was in the right place at the right time. I'm sure that's how his life's always been. You know, they didn't see the state-sponsored detox. They didn't see me paying for bread with an EBT card. They didn't see me trying to find a couch to sleep on. They didn't see me asking someone at the gas station for $1 so that I can get to the clinic. They didn't see that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so when you are constantly comparing yourself to people that are doing great in that exact moment, you're going to get into that victim mindset. You're going to think to yourself, well, why? I'm trying my best. Why is it all work? But you're not seeing their zoomed out life. And so I think, like, one of the most important things is just patience. It's really just patience and calculated risk. And knowing that you sometimes just have to zoom out and really just be appreciative of the things that are going right in your life. Because if you're breathing, watching this episode right now, something's going right for you. I don't care how bad the rest of your life is. Something is going right for you because you're here. You're still here. You're watching this episode. You woke up this morning. You have opportunity to put one foot in front of the other and to take one step to this room, to meet this person, to do this thing, and then build off of that and build off of that. This isn't a lotto ticket. You know what I'm saying? For me, it was Denise in AA. It was Patsy and trading penny stocks. It was Craigslist ads to meet Sean Nelson. It was working for him in a closet at Lovesac. Then it was a desk. Then it was an intro to Logan Paul. Then it was, $80,000 a year with Maverick. Then it was starting a podcast. Then it was my own show. Then it was businesses. It's all stepping stones. It's not, there's no today's this, tomorrow's that. It's just not how it works. That's number one, is patience and zooming out. And number two is, I think this is a Gary V structure, but I've always loved it so much, is trying your best to find an intersection of what you love and what you're good at. And like really finding a sweet spot there. Because if you love painting, but you are awful at it, you can keep doing it if you want, but like just understand and be realistic about the outcome, about the potential outcomes. You know what I'm saying? Like really dig deep and think of what you're good at. Like, what are you good at? You are good at money management and the discussion of money and real estate. And you said, okay, wow, there's this intersection between creator and the desire to be educated and made aware of money, and also an intrigue and a curiosity about the finances of the rich and famous. Mm-hmm. Wow. Look at that beautiful intersection and that wonderful vertical that's been created, right? So you saw that before anybody else did. You got into it and you became the guy at it, right? So it's like, it's you just got to understand your strengths. And for me, my strengths have always been what they are, which is positivity, the ability to talk, the ability to disarm people and make them feel comfortable in conversation, which is extremely important for podcasting and networking. Okay, hey, it's me. Mm. Let's crack a smile, laugh, let's link, right?
So I'm curious, you said that Mr. Beast calls you all the time.
Not anymore. I think this was back when I was getting more views, okay?
Mr. Beast calls you and you don't answer.
Yeah.
You have probably very famous people reaching out to you all the time, calling you and you don't answer. Who is someone that when they call you, you always pick up?
My mom, number one. My mom, my family, my friends, manager Jeff, for sure. Jeff Whittick, people that I know that need me. If you're my friend, you can count on me. That's a family member. You can count on me. I'm back to Connecticut, which means LAX to JFK and a 300 hour Uber ride to Connecticut once every month or 2 months. I am obsessed with my family. They're the reason I'm still alive. My mother's the reason why I'm still here. Like, I'm always answering the phone for my family. Like, number one. Then, like, it extends out obviously to a Logan who, obviously gave me opportunities that have changed my life, and we obviously do a tremendous amount of business together. But certainly Jeff. Manager Jeff is like kind of my guy here in LA, and me and him have beyond just the business side really had created a friendship together.
In terms of your relationship, both business and personal, with Logan, do you ever feel like sometimes you're not able to go and branch off on your own as much because a lot of it might be linked to Logan and his brand, his image?
There's so much misconception and like misinterpretation of mine and Logan's relationship. It's wild. Like, I can do anything I want. I can do anything. If I wanted to start a podcast tomorrow and call it Impulsivo and do it, he would be like, great. Anything I'm not doing is simply a result of my own lack of desire to evolve or insecurities or anxieties. He has wanted me to succeed in my own lane more than anybody in the world. Like, literally, loves 1010 Burger, loves the night shift, loves all the stuff I do on the side when I commentate for Karate Combat, any of the things that I do. My book, he bought me a billboard. Like, he's always been the biggest promoter of me as a brand. And so, I don't think, as far as relationships go in the space, it's like who has a more storied I mean, dude, we've done so much together. We've built entities together, and there's always been so much speculation about how our dynamic is, on show, off show, business side, and I mean, people just never seem to get it right. It's always like, like almost like Logan, some sort of boss. And certainly there were times when he was in 2018, 2019. But I mean, him and I have been complementaries to each other for a number of years now. He calls for advice. I call him for advice. We talk through strategies and guests and conversations and he's been extremely gracious in terms of like my ownership on the show. Like I certainly don't have to have as much as I have or didn't have to. And so he's been an incredible partner, and it's just it's just crazy how the misconceptions about him as a person. And I think over the next couple years, a lot of the stories that have wronged him and a lot of the big, commentaries that have gone on around him around certain topics will be right-sized and reversed. And him and I have had to swim through that for a long time. And, it's funny because as much as I've reaped the benefits of having him as a friend, I've also had to go through all of the landslides and pitfalls too. And I've lost brand deals and had, things pulled because of the relationship as well. But,
who do you think are some of the most misunderstood celebrities?
Logan and Jake, number one. I mean, it's, I think they, because of their own doing, don't get me wrong. Like obviously the stuff that they did at the beginning of their career, right? And like, I agree with that, but the why they did it, the age involved, the maturity levels, and the shifts in who they are as people decided we hate these guys. We hate Logan and Jake, and we will never unhate them. It does not matter what they do. And there's certainly a massive, massive community of people that just simply don't like them. And so I would say that they certainly, are probably at the top of that bucket. And I've been so blessed, me personally, because I've never really had to deal with a lot of that, because I came out and just said, hey, like, listen, like I used to love crack and, I like stars and like, like I never said like, hey kids, like buy my candy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like watch my content to learn how to do building blocks. Like I was a piece of shit. I try every day to be less of a piece of shit than I was the day before. And that's like,
So people don't expect it out
no,
of you.
I mean, I try to speak to a community of people who struggle, with substance and with mental health problems and relationships and need a voice from somebody who perseveres and continues to struggle, every day. And so, it kind of makes your job easy when you put out a book that talks about the stuff that I talked about in the Fifth Vital. It's like, okay, we know this guy and who he is. Yeah. He's not pretending, so.
And to round out the finance and like money business conversation, I'm just curious, where is the money coming from on your end?
Up until this year, the majority of it has been sponsorships on my YouTube channel. So on the night shift, like every week since, I'll just throw some stuff out there because this isn't the case anymore because I've been a little bit not as consistent and brand spend is in a kind of a weird place right now, to be honest with you. From about 2018 until call it like last year, right? Or into last year, every video that I put out on the night shift generally had between like $30,000 and $70,000 sponsor in it. So like,
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
so like for a long time, and I have had great brand sponsorship connections, and it's been, sponsorships have been great. My merch did well when I did it, but I stopped doing that. Ad revenue on YouTube, Snapchat revenue, which you know about, right? Snapchat revenue. I was one of the first creators in the creator program as a Snap star. When the program first started, it was a dramatic amount of money. Like, disgusting amounts of money. Like the amount of money people, oh my God. It was like people, I was having personally like $40,000, $50,000 months every month. Like it was a lot of money. And now I'm talking about not a ton of posts. Like I would post here and there.
Are we talking about the stories?
Yeah, where you click through.
The last photo is like some thumbnail. Bikini or something like that.
Yeah. There are girls, I won't name them, but they're like, dude, like have been having $300,000, $400,000 months on Snapchat for ages. It's crazy. And people don't even know about this, dude. Like, and you know who the big dog is on Snapchat? It's Austin. Believe it or not. Austin has been like Austin McBroom has been crushing on Snapchat for a long time.
I thought David Dobrik was going really
Dobrik was, but I mean, he's had so much. I don't know where he's at now. I know he was doing. I thought he was doing like $1 million a month.
That's what I heard too. Yeah,
and I think that's accurate. So Snapchat, YouTube revenue across sponsorship and ads. Then Impulsive obviously is a fully separate entity. So any kind of ad revenue we do there, any across all of the short channels as well, and then any kind of sponsorship activity that we do on Impulsive.
And you had a percentage of that?
Yeah.
And is that a percentage of sponsorships and ad revenue, and it's flat across all of those things?
Correct. Yeah. On the Impulsive side. So I'm just like basically called like a co-owner of the show, which Logan was very generous.
And when Jack and I first started the Iced Coffee Hour, it seemed like we had to figure out everything ourselves, from the best cameras to use, how to edit, how to source sponsorships. Every day had new challenges. That's why if you're starting your own business, you know exactly what I'm talking about and why today's sponsor is so relevant, Shopify.
Shopify is basically your all-in-one business partner. They power millions of businesses worldwide, from major brands like Mattel and Gymshark to entrepreneurs just getting started. Here's a fun fact. If you've actually shopped online in the United States, there's a really good chance it was through Shopify, because they actually power about 10% of all American e-commerce.
What's great about Shopify is that you get access to a complete design studio with hundreds of ready-to-use templates to build a beautiful online store that perfectly matches your brand. There's no coding needed, and their AI tools even help you write product descriptions or enhance your product photos.
Shopify also makes marketing really easy with simple email and social campaigns to reach customers wherever they're scrolling. Plus, they handle everything from inventory to shipping to returns, basically all of the complicated stuff you don't want to deal with.
So if you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business ideas into...
So sign up for a $1 per month trial at shopify.com/ICH, all lowercase. That is shopify.com/ICH. We also have a link down below in the description if you guys just want to click it there. It's $1. You can change your life. Create that business you've always wanted to start. It would mean the world to me if I saw a comment a year from now saying, I saw that Shopify ad read you guys did, created a business, now I'm a millionaire. Maybe it could be you. Maybe not. I don't know. Thank you so much, Shopify, for sponsoring this episode.
Why are you still in California? I feel like you would save so much money just moving to Las Vegas, moving to Puerto Rico.
Especially if you're traveling as much as you are.
Dude, the Puerto Rico move alone. I mean, that would be so easy because Logan's there.
I don't know, man.
Is it the network?
Yeah, to an extent. I think I'm a creature of habit to an extent. I mean, I've certainly have been my whole life. When I fall into a habit, I can stick with it for some time. And you know, LA and California is just in a terribly sad state of despair outside of the taxes. Okay. Like forget, cause one, I'll say this right off the bat. If it was 53% taxes, but I loved where I lived and I loved the state and the state of things, you couldn't pay me a percentage back to leave and go somewhere I didn't like. I will not change my location based on money. I just won't do it. If I was making less or something, maybe, but like, I just won't do it. I want to, there's nothing more important to your happiness than being happy where you are. And so like, truthfully, like if you're going to have 10% more money, but you're going to be somewhere you don't want to be, it just, to me, that was just never attractive. It just wasn't to me. And so now that gets into a weird place because California is in a bit of a state of despair. I was introduced to California in 2015. I fell in love with the state. I fell in love with the weather, the hills, how it looks. It's not the California that I fell in love with, but I don't know. I just haven't been able to pry myself from the things that I do like about it. And the weather being one of them. You know, there are people here, Tav and Kifa, and who are my best friends. Manager Jeff is still here, and you know, his house luckily held up in the Palisades. And also keep in mind too, one last note on it. There are these perceived exoduses to Vegas, to the big one was Miami. Everybody's going to Miami. The whole world's going there. The Nelk boys, Steve will do it, and a bunch of OnlyFans girls went to Miami. Okay, like, don't overdo it. Okay, like it's not, and a bunch of TikTokers, right? Like I walk down in Brickell, and it's like every second is like, dude, like, can we do a street interview? The big dogs are still in the two coastal cities. They just are. Some people move to Texas, but dude, you wanna talk about heavy hitters? They're not scared off by the extra 12%, the big dogs. Like I'm talking, like I'm good friends with Really good friends with Rich from Fashion Nova. He just dropped $141 million on the one.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't say like, oh, I think like I'll go to. He actually, he did, because he just bought a $30 million house in Miami as well. But he's at a level where he can do that. But he stays here. He can stay anywhere he wants in the world. He can go to Monaco. He can go anywhere he wants to. He lives here because no matter what you say, if you're playing in that echelon, you own in Brentwood, you own in Palisades or Malibu, because it's there's people in Miami. Don't get me wrong. We just did a show with Tom Brady. He's got a great house, and there's a number of people who have homes there, but the two coastal centers are still New York and LA, and so as you continue to spend time with these people and network with these people and work those rooms, I go to membership clubs here in New York. I'm at Zero Bond in New York. I go to Living Room here and Bird Streets. And
why do you go to these membership clubs?
It's where everybody's kind of hanging out now. The nightlife has moved towards membership clubs.
So what is that?
Every city has 3 or 4 good membership clubs that you have to pay a annual dues to, and you have to be accepted into the club. And certain ones are harder to get into than others. But basically, there's usually a really good restaurant. There's a really good lounge. You could host meetings there. And it's where kind of like the upper echelon of people go. And so like, I can give you every city. Like this is like my world, right? So I can give you every city. It's LA has a place called Bird Streets. There's San Vicente. There's a bunch of like older ones, but right now it's like Bird Streets and a place called Living Room. And Living Room is extremely, extremely selective. Like I have to go do interviews to try to have a committee vote me in right now. And so Living Room is, I don't even know if I'm supposed to talk about this, maybe, but I don't care, but maybe I'm sure they're fine with it, but it's like maybe $4,000 for the year, right?
Oh, that's not bad.
It's not crazy.
Yeah.
Then you've got, in Vegas, they're opening Zero Bond. Will be at the
What
Wynn.
is that?
Zero Bond is a New York-based membership club, but there's one opening in Vegas. Oh yeah, you should know about this.
Yeah.
I'll connect you to the guys there.
How much is that?
About the same, maybe $3,000 or $3,500. That'll be at the Wynn, so members only.
Do you just go whenever you want, or is it scheduled meetings at certain
you can go whenever you want.
And what is it, just like a hangout?
It's a hangout. It's a lounge, but it's Travis Scott is at that table, and then the next one over is like Michael Rubin.
Soho House.
Yeah, but super elevated. Not Soho House, because it is like Soho House, but it's whereas the pricing is about the same. They're more selective in their process of accepting people. So you can't. It's not just because you can write that. You have to be accepted into the place.
Got it. Okay.
You have to be usually nominated by or referred by 2 or more guests, and then you have to be accepted by the committee at the club most of the time.
Makes me want to do it.
No, they're
I
cool.
want to do the Vegas one.
They're cool. The Vegas
one.
one is where you want to be for you.
Yeah.
And then in New York, you've got Zero Bond is a great one in New York, but then Crane Club is a Tao establishment, so Crane Club's been crushing it in New York. All of it is built off of a very London feel, and London is a very, very membership-heavy city. And so if you're not at a membership club in London, you're really not doing the right thing. It's not like you're going to like clubs and bars.
Really?
There's Annabelle is probably the most famous membership club in the world. I mean, you're talking about some people dropping $1 million to $2 million to get into a special section of Annabelle, which has unguarded Picassos on the wall, like it's the real deal. Then there's a place called 22 in London. There's a place called Arts Club, and they serve some of the best Otoro and some of great steaks, and it's just good conversation, good people, protected, secure. Where, I was at Bird Streets a couple weeks ago, and, Taylor and Travis came in, and they're just sitting there, and they don't have to worry about who they're next to. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, they should in my circumstance. Who's this idiot? But it's an interesting dynamic, and I don't currently belong to any. I'm finally making I will get the Zero Bond.
Well, how are you
Vegas
in
one.
there then?
You can go as guests. You can go with anyone who has a membership.
So is that the shift from nightlife right now has gone from like clubs and going to like, what was the One Oak that used to be like really big here?
Yeah, Oak closed and is now Keys. There's certainly, so first and foremost, as far as nightlife is concerned, alcohol is in decline. Alcohol is in rapid, permanent decline, they're saying.
Yes.
There's just a lot of people out there who just don't want to drink alcohol anymore. It's very, it's very detrimental to your health, to your decision making, obviously. And so some people are going towards psychedelics. Some people are just doing drugs. Like there's a lot of stuff going on out there, but alcohol has become it's in decline. And so what you're seeing along with that is you're seeing a lot of very alcohol dependent scenarios also decline. And that means super clubs, because there's really no way to want to spend that much time in a club, like a super club, without being under the influence. It's just not so I think the trend will continue to push towards lounges, places that you can have conversation, which is great. And of course, like we live in a world where everybody wants to have they want to be in an aspirational scenario. Everybody wants to be at the place that you can't get into. You know what I'm saying? It's just kind of the thing. And right now that's membership clubs, but it is also even behind the rise of Delilah, for example. I mean, Delilah in Vegas, I believe Delilah in Vegas is the #1 producing restaurant on the planet, right? I could be wrong. This could be completely off, and it might not be like, I think a lot of places will list Mila in Miami. I mean, we're talking about $100 million annual establishments at this point. Like it's insane. And I love Mila in Miami as well. It's a fantastic restaurant, lounge, bar, club, everything. But it certainly feels like people are moving away from clubs and more towards lounges, speakeasies, and places that play music.
You would make a fortune if you started your own.
I would love to. I wouldn't. I don't think it's outside of my
No, I think
wheelhouse.
it's perfect. I think it's
that's serve burgers there,
dude.
That would be insane.
And with your network,
and
who you have behind you. Oh my gosh! I mean, it would be crowded day one.
I
no other influencers doing
that. It's funny you say that, because we almost just did one to house 1010. They wanted it to be a combo of like a bar and 1010, and we didn't do it simply because it was here. We didn't like the location. But certainly, and also like that's like this, the weird situation to be in now is like the access to capital, like for creators like at this level is just insane. Because I was excited to come on the show today, and it's because like I do see all of the stuff. Like I see all of the back end that like the world doesn't usually hear about. But like there's a lot of these companies right now that have a ton of funding to like buy perpetual ownership of creators. Like I'm sure you guys have probably either been offered or know
I've been offered, but the offers are so low when you look at like the payback period, which I understand for a creator could go to 0 overnight. So you have to.
But what are you talking, like 15, 30 years? Are you talking about the length of the payback period or the length of which they own?
No, I'm talking about the length of the payback period. So it's like I would be better off just taking my ad revenue for 12 months.
Right.
And like take a buyout offer.
Yeah. Well, the whole thing is they do it in the event that you need upfront capital.
Yep.
And the obstacle they're up against is when they're coming at people that don't have needs for upfront capital. There's only a few people who spend all of their money on their business. And like truthfully, like even with Jimmy, like we'll see where it ends up. You know what I'm saying? Like we'll see what there's all these people out there that want to count everybody's paper billions. You know what I'm saying? Who knows where it goes? Who really knows what happens? You know what I'm saying? Now, for Jimmy, it's going to work.
Oh, yeah.
His little experiment will work. But for other people who are just dumping 100% of their revenue into their projects, like it's not always going to work. You know? And so, there's just so much capital out there. Like that's the one thing that like is the easiest thing to get. Like the hard thing to get is operational acuity, expertise. Like, dude, the reason why Prime is not because they had somebody that was willing to put up $20 million. It's because they got operational greatness in their partner. You know what I'm saying? In Congo, like they got the best in the world. They got world-class operational support, manufacturer, distribution connections. Yeah. But it all comes down to who you're working with and how the passion for the project actually works. 1010 Burger works because I care about that burger like it's my child.
Yeah.
It is the best burger. It really is. I am obsessed with it, and Logan is obsessed with Prime. Obsessed with it. He wakes up, it's the only thing he thinks about and talks all day about. So that's a part of it.
It was cute, by the way. I had some gardeners who were redoing my front landscape, and they had their kid with them, and the kid was maybe like 5 years old, 6 years old. And anytime I have someone at the house, I offer them, I say, hey, can I get you waters? And I just happen to, do you want waters? I got Prime. And the kid, oh my God, his eyes lit up. And the mom was like, you have Prime? And I'm like, yeah, I have Prime. And the kid was like a big fan of Prime. Like that was his thing. And I brought out Primes. And there was a new flavor that I don't think was in stores yet. And I gave that to him. I'd never seen someone so happy. And then I said, do you like Feastables? And he's like, Mr. Beast? I'm like, yeah, Mr. Beast. And I brought out candy for him. They were so excited.
Yeah.
It's so excited.
It's crazy. I remember, that reminds me, during Halloween this year, I have a neighborhood that gets thousands of kids. Like we probably bought 4,000 pieces of candy and we ran out with like 2 hours to spare. And I remember I had a bunch of Prime because they keep sending it to me as well. Like, keep sending it. Thank you very much. But I remember I would randomly pick like one out of every 20 or 25 kids. Like, all right, come on. What we're going to do is we're going to play a game. We're going to throw a piece of candy off of the top of the staircase. And if you catch it in your basket, I'll give you a special treat. And it was a Prime. And when I gave it to the kids, they would freak out. I was like, it's a drink, which is great, but I don't know what it was, but like, I don't know. And then everyone started talking about it. People would like try to sneak back in. To, like,
it's lightning in a bottle. I mean, truthfully, like what happened with Prime is not to be replicated. It's how it worked and it's like it's a combination of things. It's like I said, it's the marketing acuity, manufacturing capability, and distribution connections to get to retail, to do all that stuff and do it right. It's the marketing, the day-to-day marketing, the short-form marketing, the storytelling that Logan and KSI did. But then it's really more than anything else, it's like, have I identified a hole in the marketplace that really has a yearning to be filled? Who knew if that was I don't think anyone on that team thought that product was going to do more than $20 million. Like, dude. When they started talking about billions with an S in sales, like it's mind-blowing. It is mind-blowing to imagine where that product has gone. And it's because all of those three things checked out. There was some sort of desire within the or ability to disrupt that sports drink or hydration space that they filled.
Yeah. But it's such a strong brand that I think especially kids really, really, really resonate with. Like I remember, speaking of Jack's candy, Jimmy sent us his candy, but it was wrapped in $100 of cash. And he sent it to give it out in Halloween. And so what we did for fun is I took the candy bar out. So it's just the cash.
And then you took the money to the blackjack tables.
Yeah, and I tripled up. No. So in the giant thing of candy, we have a wad of $1 bills for $100 and then the candy. And we just let the kid pick. The kids never picked the money. They would pick the Mr. Beast bar over the $100. Now, I'm talking like they're 4 years old, 5 years old, whatever. But there's a few times where the parent was like, are you sure you want that? And I'm like, yeah, the candy. Are you sure they picked the candy over the $100.
Yeah, but then we had some like older trick-or-treaters. They were like, 14, 15. And then we would like hold out the money and they'd like take the money.
But it upset me.
Some kid with a mustache came up and I'm like, okay, like what do you...
But you know what? It upset me how ungrateful they seemed. Like they would just take the money and then no reaction.
I think they were in shock. Is that like, they're like, there's no way this is real.
No, but they would take it, look at it, put it in the bag, thank you. And then it's like that wasn't just a candy. That's $100 in cash.
No, kids are losing. I mean, dude, look, they're losing track of like. It's like I go online nowadays and the storylines around how much everybody's making, which you see all the time, and they're so wrong. I mean, they are so wrong. I like it's like DDG posted this like funny screenshot last week.
That's not real.
Not even 1/20th. He doesn't even make, like, you know what I'm saying? Like $12 million a month. He's making $144 million a year in ad revenue. And every kid that read that was like, oh, wow, like that's a good month for him. Bro, what are you talking about?
I was surprised people believed that.
All the young kids, they've lost track of like not lost track. They never learned what money means or how much is realistic or whatever. It's like, you know, like once again, I'm not going to pocket watch DDG, and he makes great money, but he doesn't make $12 million a month. I would assume if he has a great month, he might make $400,000 on a great month on Twitch.
Be a little bit more.
Maybe.
But you know what?
Is he on Kick?
But it's good marketing.
And he's great. I was just on stream with him last. DDG's great, and he's a great creator. But dude, come on, they're just too young to understand what those numbers mean, and they're too brainwashed by those big deep numbers and contracts that are real. Like when you find out, when you find out the size of a Steph Curry contract, now that type of stuff makes sense. You're like, well, wait, dude, like if Steph Curry has a contract for, $250 million, then certainly like,
DDG
Neon is making $100 million. Like they don't understand like the deviations between the how much people are making.
I just remember there was a period of time where it was a few months and I saw like so many Twitch streamers had their revenue leaked like 10 times.
Because it's just all
it's
a
clip
thing.
farming.
Yeah, it's farming. That's all it is. It's just farming. And it's
so those weren't accurate because some of those I saw
I think
seemed
they were
very
accurate.
believable.
Yeah, I think they were accurate, but like I think it happened like 5 times in 1 month with like the same creator. He's like, oops, and he's like screen recording something, clicks on like a browser, and then it opens and it shows like $400,000 or whatever.
Yeah,
in a month.
Or like that day. Yeah. It's like,
but some of
dude.
some of those are obviously inspect element, and they go and they change the number.
And you can usually see it, but they don't understand, But yeah, the product side and the CPG side has gotten crazy, and it's like, it's seeing like what happened with Alani and just all of these creator products is just crazy.
Were you able to get any percentage ownership of Prime?
No, I have a verbal guarantee that I will be made whole, and then I was given equity on Lunchly, which is great because Beast is involved. It's a great product, but the Prime joke, as it is seen now, wasn't always. I mean, it was a sore spot for me for sure. It kept me up a lot of nights, and it's a heavily protected cap table with less people on it than you could ever even imagine, and it just didn't work for me. It didn't work out, and it wasn't even Logan that said no. You know what I'm saying? It's just an unfortunate situation, and
What do you think being made whole means?
I think it means, you have been a part of the journey and you post it whenever you can and you share it and you connect people and you network it for people and you support it. And most importantly, it's in front of you on every episode of a show that you co-own, and is responsible for probably 1/4 of the impressions that have driven the brand. They're gonna be fired up, man. No, I'm just kidding. I believe that there will be a retribution there for it. I truly believe that.
How do you handle any creative differences like that between you and Logan? Because Jack and I have a very similar dynamic where we're partners on this.
Yeah.
I would say I'm more of the networker. Like I'm always like hanging out with who God knows who.
Yeah.
And Graham kind of keeps to himself, but like does a lot of the operation.
How long have you guys been doing this?
6 years. 6 years.
Yeah.
Together,
5 years. 5 years on the podcast. 6 years working together.
Got it.
Yeah.
So you probably also have gotten to a point where they're a lot far and fewer between, I would assume, those disagreements.
I honestly can't even remember the last time Graham and I had a strong... Like, we have some guest disagreements.
That's
here
really
and there.
the only disagreement we have, is Jack will suggest a guest that I'm just like, I don't want to talk to this person.
I'm willing to have on anyone, and Graham is a little bit more selective, but it's a push and pull, and it's good that we have that disagreement.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So I mean, dude, like, Logan and I are coming up on about almost 10 years now of friendship, of business, of creative, of navigating some of the most insane PR and real life disasters you could ever imagine. I mean, my second book will at some point come out, and it's just, we've been through so much. It's, globally and just online. And a lot of that stuff was, we had some real fights, dude. Like, I mean, real, like, fights that would potentially, or disagreements that potentially can other relationships, like to a point where, like, dude, like we've had times where we didn't talk for months, and had to like have third parties come back and like reintroduce. And they stopped happening probably maybe like 4 years ago, I would say. And now we don't disagree. I mean, dude, like it's so rare for us to have even a slight moment of like, if I start a sentence, he finishes it. If he starts it, I finish it. We're just so laser tuned in on the things that we do work together on. So then he's got a massive share of stuff that I don't even know about, never hear about. But on the stuff that him and I work on together, we're locked in.
What do you think you or he had to change in order to affect the relationship like that?
Yeah, hopefully it's interesting for the viewer, but I mean, dude, it's a great question because like, dude, like I think we both had to, but certainly as a person who's older and a person who has had a tremendous lesson on empathy throughout life and how to work with other people, I certainly came into the relationship with Logan with more experience in that space. I had a little bit of corporate background. I knew how to give, the feedback sandwich of positive, negative, positive. Like I knew how to do all that stuff. And I was the one that had to go and teach him how to, fire someone who had done something terrible, or how to give feedback to someone that he had a creative disagreement with. And so a lot of it was like learning that I had to instill in him, but that is always difficult when you're trying to instruct someone how to give feedback on something that you're involved in. So that's when we would break. I mean, I got him out of with other people a million times. I tell him all the time, I like to think that I had at least some impact on the smoothing over of the relationship with the UK and the Sidemen, because with all of the furious, and just terrible energy between him and KSI, that got to a point where it was, I mean, we had security issues. I mean, all the time. I mean, we would have to travel to Manchester with heavy security. They would have security here. Like
what were they afraid of betwin that? Like, well, I can't imagine none of the Sidemen like pulling up on Logan.
No,
right?
fans probably.
Fans
or I mean, dude, we had. I remember when Logan and KSI, when all that beef had first started, I mean, we pulled up to Yamashiro because I knew KSI was there, and we just, me and him pulled up and Logan on him, and they got in each other's faces, and it was like really like heated moments. Like there was a number of times where that almost happened outside of the boxing ring, right? And so like in that scenario, like they hated each other, but I was always trying to work with, Bazinga and this person and that person to try to keep the relationship alive. And I'd like to imagine that there was that at least represented some level of smoothing over in the process to get those two back together. Maybe they would deny that, but I don't know. That's where I'm at. So it's like, it's Logan matured a lot. And we started, I think, to see more eye to eye on stuff that we might not have in the past. And that's now we just are on autopilot.
I've heard from people that were in the past that one of the most difficult parts of recovering from or this or that is that when you take, it's like one of those pleasurable, visceral experiences that you can have. And then after that, life that exists, you don't have that level of stimulation in anything. Is this true, or is that like not really something that affects?
It certainly is true for an early recovery, certainly, because the good news about it and the good news about life in general is that the brain has a miraculous ability to regenerate. It's an incredible organ that just can truly regenerate. And so in early recovery, certainly you are numb to everything, and there's really nothing that's going to feel the same way that it did. But you will start to find a lot of pleasure in the clarity that you get from being sober and your ability to say and speak into existence and do things that you just never would have had. And I mean, being truly sober, not on off of everything, getting to a point where you're just literally just back in the world. Because I had moments where I got down to a few milligrams and I was on a little bit of, it's not the same. It's not the same until you get fully clean. But even now, yeah, to an extent, I sometimes do feel that still. I do sometimes feel like whether it's that or any of the other dopamines that I've been to in my life, that without that adrenaline and without that spike of or drip of dopamine, that I do feel a little bit less enthused about things that other people find massive amounts of enjoyment in. And it's been a tough path to navigate, only because it pushes me away from some of the simpler pleasures of life, which is, which can end up being can create more sadness in the long run. I've had trouble in relationships. I've had trouble in finding joy in things that other people, watching a sunset or, any of those more, thoughtful activities could usually invoke in people, just because I've become so attuned to that adrenaline and to that overstimulation, and that's what I'm trying to fix now. And I think truthfully, like, a full dopamine, this is like the next layer, like forget just the drugs, but like real true dopamine detox, meaning like, hey, 20 minutes a day on your phone, 10, you're not responding to any of the text messages. Right. You're really just really living, and you're not having the ice cream. You know what I'm saying? Like you're not, for me, I've had my, struggles with on the sex side. Like you're not doing that. You're not going to Vegas and hooking up with the girl, the bottle girl, or this star or that person or whatever. You're just not, because then you start to really reset that receptor, and you really start to then potentially get enjoyment from going for a walk with a dog, because you can really, you can burn your glands out. I mean, there's only so much dopamine and serotonin your brain can create before you deplete it.
What would you say you're to now?
Right now?
Yeah. And it might not be like a substance. It could be like views. It could be, TV.
I'm in a pretty good, the phone for sure. Yeah. That for sure. That might be my only right now. That one and certainly I'm still working through, to be completely transparent. I'm still working on the girl stuff a little bit. I certainly just, it has always been kind of part of my real world brand, my content brand. I love girls. I don't know how else to say that. And so I just had a relationship for a year and a half, and I did great, and it was wonderful. We just had some compatibility issues that, were not related to that. And I have it in me, but once I then get returned to the streets, as they say, it's not something that I am always incredibly proud of. So, but the phone is number one. Okay. The phone is number one. I mean, I cannot get the thing out of my hand. And for someone who understands coping mechanisms and has learned how to work through things, the idea that some 13-year-old is learning about this and dealing with this that sucks. Yeah. Cause this isn't like, or something like that. This is every single human, with the exception of a few Buddhist monks and some people that maybe can't afford it. I don't know. Like every kid out there is just walking around looking at the phone all day, 12 hours, 13 hours, 16 hours. We were not manufactured, evolved. We did not evolve to this type of activity. When I walk out of here, as you know, and I can give you the phone back again, and you could look at the re-up, which will still be going right now. Our brains were not trained to interact in some way with 1,000 people a day.
Yeah.
That's just not.
It's tough though, because for you, that's also your livelihood. Of like, that's your network, that's 100%. Your social media. You got to check your emails. You got to take phone calls. Same thing for me too.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get off of it.
But you should. But if as a 40-year-old, I wish that I could say that I was a little bit more disciplined in not, falling into the doom scroll every once in a while, or like. There's only so much stuff that I still like to talk about, because like I've tried to like really present a better. My DMs, I always have funny DMs from girls, and it's a funny thing to just look at. Like, you'd never believe someone.
What do you
like
get?
Funny.
They're just, because of the girls that I've always hung out with, and like not as much anymore, but obviously like I had my past with the adult stars and all that. It's like girls are very forward. So just like
they'll
just send me like, hey, I just got to LA. Can I like give you a or like just
Are you serious?
yeah?
Are these girls that you've ever talked to before?
No. They're just like random messages, and like so it's like another thing that we weren't really designed as humans to.
And what does that make you feel when you see somebody?
Nowadays, nothing. Like it's I won't even respond 90% of the time, but it's
90.
just like well, now I'm out of the
90 is
relationship.
honestly not that. Like if you get 10 a day, that means
No, it's not that many. It's not that many, but it's like. I've just and that's been that way since I've gotten here, just because I'm a fun, outgoing person. And like Cyndi Lauper said, girls just want to have fun. Like they love going out and going to the membership club or having dinner or going traveling or whatever, we're doing. And no, more than anything, they just want to laugh. Just want to have a good time, make jokes, like whatever. And so it's like, for me, that's like always something that I've had to like deprioritize from a time standpoint. And that's why I've just been so like lately just wanting to make the relationship side work, because it allows me to like take to really, first of all, build something great with someone and achieve a level of happiness and emotional closeness, and like have a friend, at that level that you can be vulnerable with and they're there for you. But it also like allows me to avoid a lot of distraction. But it just hasn't worked out for me, just like for a lot of other people, it hasn't,
So how are you so smooth with women? What's the secret?
I don't take it. I just don't, I just don't care per se. Like, I think like truthfully, like the more like effort the more you show that you actually like are like affected by any kind of outcome, like it shows so much. Like if I'm not saying to play games if you're trying to get into a serious relationship. If you're in a relationship mindset, then it makes sense to be upfront and thorough and say like, hey, listen, I care about you. Like, why don't we do this? And then to fully lock in and not try to not look like you care. Like, that's your partner, be a partner. Right. And I just did that for the past 2 years.
Wait, so you're saying in order to get the initial interest, you have to act kind of like apathetic towards them? Like, you're kind of, it is what it is. If they do something to try to test you to see if they can get a reaction, you're just like, it's not a big deal. And is that stuff that they do that you have to be not affected by, or is it just everything in your life you have to be not affected by?
This is like this. I hate talking about this. We're gonna talk about it, but I hate talking about this because I don't like people ever feeling like I'm like bragging about stuff. It's like a really big insecurity of mine. I know that. No, I appreciate that. Yeah. It's a huge insecurity of mine. And like, I hate, like, it's one of the reasons why I wear a rubber band and I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't wear a watch and
but you have evidence. I mean, dude, we have here that you dated the most Googled woman on the internet. Right?
Yeah.
So you have evidence of being decent with this.
Sure. And yeah, definitely. And among, many other great women for sure. But
of course.
Yeah.
Not downplaying everybody.
Yeah, for sure. But so basically what I say is this. There's just so many like push and pull mechanisms as it pertains to those like initial meetings with women and the early phases. And like, for me, it's like with girls that I talk to, like, I always have like a absolute perfect level, like right where oil meets water, like a perfect level of mix between compliment and playful banter. And that means like I'm generally like talking a little bit of shit, like messing around, but in a way that's making them laugh, like, and making them feel comfortable to do the same back to me. Like if you watch any of my content with either of my last exes, like we're usually poking fun at each other in a fun way. So I'm doing that early on. Like I'm picking out like little funny things, and you got to be careful with this. You know, it's you got to be, you know, like, anyways. But you're really not trying to appear in the beginning like you don't care. You just really need to kind of not care in the beginning. Like, you know, it's a lot of these guys get into a lot of trouble because they're too quick to text back, because they just get really excited, and there's nothing wrong with it. You shouldn't feel bad about the fact that you feel strongly and you like someone and you know, you want to talk to them. That's great. But there's just a lot to be said about how a girl reacts to your non-reaction and to your desire to like overstimulate the conversation. It's a massive thing in terms of making a girl feel like maybe potentially they're not your only option. Maybe potentially like maybe they should be interested in potentially texting you and asking what you're doing that day. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of course comes down to what your value is. Like, what are you bringing to the table, right? And for a lot of people, all you need is that ability to make them feel comfortable and laugh. I mean, dude, you'll see a ton of, you know, people that you wouldn't expect dating way out of their league because they just know how to make a girl have fun. You know, and there's a million ways to skin it, dude. There's other guys that are really, dude, like the other one that's like a known person here is Banks is, you know, kind of in a similar boat. And he's a bit different than me. He's like a big, like, because I study all these different people. He's more
so you're saying this is something that you like practice and work on?
It becomes a practice.
It's not kind of natural?
No, it is, but it's you certainly it's just like anything else in life, you just certainly become better and better and better and better at it. You know, as the relationships and as the girls you're going after or trying to talk to go from all the way up now to most Googled on the internet. Now all of a sudden a conversation with Emrata is like everyday conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because you're just like, okay, like this is another Googled girl from I've done this stuff. I know it sounds crazy, but like Banks, for example, is like, he's just he's like the sweetheart, full on sweetheart. So he's like, you know, meets a girl, he's already got he'll like go grab flowers from the attendant, and like he's just really like, he's super complimentary. Like I'm the opposite. I'm a little talker and I want to like banter.
Yeah.
And so there's a million different styles. If that's what, listen, don't do any of this, by the way. Like my real advice is like, go find a good girl that doesn't need to be, you know, charmed or like game played with, and settle down with her and if that's what you want, and go do that. Like this is what I'm trying to avoid, is just like the idea that is an outcome that you even want in life necessarily. Yeah. I think guys want to experience it, but it's another thing that you can certainly get to. It's another thing that I've, you know, it's like when you have, I say this, I wrote this in my second book that I haven't published obviously or had anybody read anything of, but I said, men grow up with this desire to every girl in the world. And for a very, very select group of people, they are dealt the curse of actually having the ability to do so. Because it's you know, like it devalues and devolves such a beautiful thing, which is a relationship between a man and a woman, into something that becomes almost gamified and you know, it seems very attractive from the outside, but I can assure you it's a very empty thing if you're doing it for that reason. If you're doing it to try to find a partner, then certainly, but hopefully you don't need to play games to do that.
How much on average do you spend on a first date?
Probably like $700 or $800.
Oh, wow.
I got a hotel yesterday so that she could change before Nobu, and we didn't stay at it. Was
it a nice hotel?
Yeah, but we went there after. So
she couldn't change in the restroom?
I don't know why I did that. I did it because I wanted to just have a home base, and it's Malibu's far. It's pretty insane.
Okay,
I'm not gonna lie to you. If I do dates, I rarely do dates. Most of the time, it's like, yo, come meet me at Barney's or
what?
This Ibiza trip that we're going on. There's like 10 girls coming on it, and there's probably been like a collective like 150,000 spent on just that group.
What's the most you've ever spent on a first date?
Thousands. I mean, for first dates have sometimes been like meet me at meet me at Van Nuys, jet to Vegas, 3 nights at Encore's Tower Suites, dinner at Delilah, night out. Maybe I give her.
How do you know you're gonna like her?
Because it's not a date for me. Because that's not how I don't work like that. I'm crazy. I'm actually not even showing you guys, but like I'm actually like I will talk to a girl online or whatever, or meet a girl for 5 minutes in passing at Erewhon or something and be like, yo, like, do you want to go to Vegas? Like it is a first date, and like I don't know if I'm gonna like them or not. And by the way, I might not like them.
And what do you do?
I might get halfway into the because I always will be cool with them. It doesn't
will you
matter.
Just send them away? Or?
No, never. No.
But then what if you find a different girl that you do like?
It's happened.
And what happens?
Certainly
in that
happened. Maybe the girl that I brought to Vegas has their own hotel room, and I don't know. Like it's 100% happened. It actually happens a lot. Where the girl that you thought you were gonna be interested in has a friend, and that happens.
Have you ever been on a first date and the girl just like orders the nicest bottle of wine, and you're like, well, hold on a second.
Not really. No, because I can spot that before I get to the table.
What are the red flags?
How they act in conversation, because you get like how they talk, the things they talk about, the subject of the conversation, how they talk about their friends, how they talk about other people, what they do for work. Like, dude, if you just miraculously came back from Dubai and I don't know why you were there and you posted a new Hermes bag, I'm probably not going to go to dinner with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm probably not going to be like, hey, let's go. Because you got to understand, once again, these aren't dates. I'm almost like, I don't have any kind of intent. Like, I don't really, if things progress and something happens and there's this or that, and that is why when I say trying is the worst part, because they know that. They know I'm just trying to curate a good time for myself, my friends, and them. Or even just myself and them. Like last night, like I didn't say, hey, like, it was really nice meeting you. And like, I was just thinking, like, maybe if you're not busy, like, I was just like, yo, like, this girl came here for 3 days. She's from Miami. I was like, have you been to Nobu Malibu? Like, do you want to go there? We went there. Like, it was cool. She left this morning on a flight back to Miami. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not like dates. They're just like,
you're just having a great time.
Yeah, they're just like having a great time connecting, join the network. Maybe I'm going to go to Bangladesh in 6 months and want to bring a few people to come hang out, and they all say to their friends, like, I love Mike. He's so much fun. He's like super just chill about everything. And he just, like, and so for me, it's just always like, it's never like, it doesn't feel like a date, dude. It just feels like I'm with one of the homies, you know what I'm saying? And it just happens to be a hot girl, So it's like different. I don't really know how to explain it to people that live lives that make sense. You know what I'm saying? And like, mine doesn't, and it never has and might never will.
What's the biggest waste of money you've ever spent?
Girls. No, I don't know. Cars for sure. Cars are the worst.
Okay, so what was the biggest waste of money that you spent money on a car?
I don't. I mean, that car, the RSQ8, I'll be upfront. I bought a brand new 2024 or 2025, whatever it was. it was 185,000, and then the build out for it was another 80.
It's one of a kind.
No, not only that, but like that car weighs 6,500 pounds.
Oh, yeah,
nice.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, so like everything I do is like slightly in the vein of like being a cheapo. It doesn't even matter like when it's an expensive car, like you ain't gonna see me in a McLaren because it doesn't hit the curb weight.
Do you ever get self-conscious or like insecure when you're dating that girl that every other guy wants to get with?
For whatever reason, I never do. It's the weirdest thing, dude. I don't know. That's one thing I don't know how to explain, and it goes back to the same rationale I guess I give for people early on in the relationship, which is like in their mind they're just like, dude, if I do something stupid or like make a mistake of some sort, he's just gonna take and like like as much as he loves me, like I've always had like that type of policy. Like if you do something up, like I'm just gonna like see ya. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
I've never cheated in my life. Every girl I've dated for the past like 10 years has my passcode. So I think it's reciprocal, right? It's like I operate under a oath of trust and of respect, right? And so I'll give you that leash, and I've never been bitten on the hand by it. I mean, even with Lana, who like obviously there was so much like wild conjecture on like how that relationship would work, and obviously she was retired, but like, dude, she would get messages from DMs from every football player, as you said, most Googled person on the internet, girl, every football player, every rapper, every athlete, every business person you could ever imagine. And as soon as the message she would come in, she would be like, what are we responding? What are we responding? What's our response? Like, do you want me to respond to this? Do you not want? Do you want? You know what I'm saying? And
why would she respond to any of them?
Well, or no, we wouldn't.
It's like a business owner
but she simply no, not even. It's simply the fact that she would just show me and be like, listen, just so you know, this is coming in. Like sometimes I would know the person and be like, dude, like, what are you doing, dude? Like this is, I'm dating this girl, right? Like,
but there's no one that came through where you're like, like,
no. Never, just because I don't know why. I don't know what the rationale
let's
is.
say like Drake.
I mean, maybe he was one of the people. You know what I'm saying? No, but certainly. Okay, I'll tell you what. If I'm early stage, like if I'm just talking to a girl that I intend on dating, and Drake, there's like a select group of people that certainly I would be like, oh, dude, 100%. But I think.
But what would you even entertain?
What do you mean?
Like if Drake DM'd, like, hey, what's up? Like,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. There's this like social media thing where especially like for Drake specifically, like every girl's in a relationship that can't get DM'd and touched by a guy until Drake comes. But truthfully, dude, I'm telling you, and I swear to you, and I truly believe this, it's just not the case. Not every guy is a cheater. Not every guy in the world is a cheater, and not every girl in the world is going to leave you for a super celebrity. They're just not. I'm telling you, it's just not the case. There's the ones that are, to me, that are at risk are girls that have never been around it. So like if you live in Memphis and your girlfriend doesn't even have Instagram, and Drake somehow finds a way to see her, and she's just so in it. But dude, a lot of these girls like have, even if they haven't hooked up with a lot of the guys, they've seen just how gross and demoral like this entire space is, and they're off it now. They don't want it. They don't want to be a part of it anymore. They like, you tell them that there's a Drake party in the hills, they're not going to that party specifically because of that. Anyways, like I said, this stuff's like, it's fun to talk about, but it's just so. It's just not, it's like, dude, the amount of like moral guilt and like the moral dilemma, and like even for me, like I'm a Christian, so like the religious dilemma for me has been more pain than it's been good, just because it's just, I don't know. It's just hard, dude. It's hard to have that type of scenario where and it's not, and one last thing on it, the one last funny thing on it is it's not all money either. That's like the biggest misconception, is that like is that like you're at risk from somebody who has more money than you. It's just not the dude. Like I know a ton of really, really wealthy people that 1000% wished that they had the game to be able to do it and cannot do it. They cannot do it. Does not matter. Doesn't matter how much is in their bank account. Doesn't matter if they fly girls out. It does not matter because it's a comfort thing. It's a humor thing. It's a aura thing, to use a word for Gen Z, that is just to an extent, it's just not teachable. It's not buyable. It's not.
So if someone does want to get better with women, how do they do that? Because if you just said it's not teachable, you can't buy it.
Go into the resistance again. Go into the waters. Get out there. Talk to girls at the bar. Talk to girls at the grocery store. Like if you have to manipulate a joke and really like practice it, then go for that. But I mean, dude, when if you're wanting to become some sort, I'm not once again like promoting it, but if you're wanting to become some sort of like Casanova, like high level at it, it's so much deeper than that. It's like really being able to think on your feet, understand their, by minute desires. Like when you've been at a restaurant too long, it's time to move locations. Like, like I was on a date last night, I have funny stories. Oh my God. The manager, the GM at Nobu Malibu got swapped out. That was my guy. I could sit on the rail being on the rail at Nobu Malibu that is where you want to do your date.
What is the rail? It
means you're on the water. You're literally sitting table, rail, waves crashing on the sunsetting beach at Nobu Malibu. So I had my GM there, and I would text him and be like, day of. And Nobu Malibu in itself is a tough res, but that's even a sit inside. Then there's tier 2, which is outside. Then there's tier 3, which is like close. Then there's the rail, right? And the rail's usually, it's like there's Tiesto and there's this person. So I get there last night, and I had to do it through the GM in Newport, and he had to set me up, and I go inside, and they said, come, oh, Mike, welcome, like, here's your table. And it's like tier 2. And so I'm like, okay, so now I'm like, I'm still fine. Like, there's no issue. We're still here. But like, I like to show up as much as possible. So, we order some edamame, she gets a drink, whatever. And then I say, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm not going to the bathroom. I'm going to the hostess stand. GM, hey, listen, man, like I was close with Troy. Like I know we don't know each other on that level yet, but like this is the first day. 5 minutes later, waitress comes to the table. Hey, we're just gonna move your stuff. Like you guys can get up and go to the table on the rail. We're just gonna move your stuff over for you. You know what I'm saying? So like it gets to a point where you're doing micro calculations that involve other people on dates even. So like
but if this girl is impressed by that, then is that a good or a bad?
If she's impressed, I don't know. It depends on what you're after. I just got out of a relationship. I don't know what the hell I'm doing at this point. I'm just like I wasn't even aiming to have anything happen like necessarily. Like I like going out and having company and eating good food but I like to do everything by utilizing the relationships that I have the best I can and showing up in the best way I can. And so that's advice certainly to people who are trying to talk to, like, do the best you can to set up for success. Truthfully, like people think chivalry's, I made the mistake. I was paying the valet guy. I forgot to go around and open the door for her, and people be like, oh, you're a simp for doing that or whatever. Dude, wake up, go around the car and open the door for the girl. You know what I'm saying? If that's all you got, if all you got is that move for the night because you don't have the rail connection or you know what I'm saying, or whatever it is, like go bring the chivalry back. You know what I'm saying? Whatever you can do, show up in the best possible way that you can. You know what I'm saying? That's a piece of advice. But certainly like keep it light, don't overdo it, don't go to the other side of the spectrum either. I can't even tell you how many guys mess things up by renting the Lambo or dude, like it's so, I'm telling you, man, like if you can just learn a little bit about humor and a little bit about conversation, pick a topic that you think is fun that she's going to be interested in. If you think there's a hot show that girls are watching and you want to talk about,
Love on the
90 Day
Spectrum.
Fiance, Love on the
That's
Spectrum.
a great one.
Bro, go watch a season of that. And I guarantee you that you bring that up at Toca Madera or something, or wherever you guys went, and you say like, hey, I'm watching this show on Netflix. I'm sure you've never heard of it before. It's called 90 Day Fiance. Like, if that's the game you got to play, then do that. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, for me, it's been like, how can I turn this off? Like, that's been my desire for the past 5 years, is like, I've been much more focused on trying to settle down and remove that aspect from my life, you know?
When's the last time you got rejected?
It's hard to say because I can't remember the last time that I was interested in someone. I cannot remember, dude. It's bro, it's been, I'll tell you this. Okay, I'll tell you this. I've had DMs go unanswered. I'm not a huge DMer. I'm just not. I do respond to DMs, but I'm just not a huge like proactive DMer. I used to be more. There's been a couple girls, that didn't respond to my DM, and I consider that a rejection to an extent, even though they've probably got a million and maybe might not have even seen it. And sometimes they'll respond a year later. I've had that happen too, where they'll be like, oh, I saw you DM me. I just came across your profile or whatever. But rejected, I don't freaking remember, dude.
When you get rejected, or when you've got rejected and they don't respond, do you feel anything, or do you just, it's just like whatever?
No, nothing. The only thing that makes me feel anything is when I get to a point in a relationship where I have feelings. And that for me is much later than the average person. I only date girls, truly date girls that I really, really, really love. Other than that, there's no in between. There's There's that, and that's like the homie. You know what I'm saying? Like we maybe we mess around, we had like, but like I'll know within a very, like with my last girlfriend, like I knew pretty quickly like that I was gonna date her, and then everything else shuts down. So it's I don't know. And then the rest of the time it's like yeah, certainly it's like I just go out and have a good time and try to show them a good time. And like a lot of them are also creators, and so like they have questions, they want to know, they want to pick my brain the same way you do on any given topic. The girl I was with last night is a creator. We sat, we had dinner, we hung out, and now she knows she can hit me up if she wants to hike or she wants to, you know what I'm saying? A lot of them end up becoming friends. I end up being people that I'm friends with, so but I'll know within, the first little while if it's going to be somebody that I'm serious about. And then I'll probably usually take about a good year to get out of the relationship too. And I'll be pretty sad for a while, just like anybody else, So this last one was rough. And even though truthfully it was my doing, I just think as you when you build those relationships, you kind of, no matter whose fault it is, it's painful, and it just wasn't working out and lacked the compatibility that we needed. But it will work out at some point. It will.
All right. Well, we want to be respectful of your time, and we really appreciate.
I can sit with you guys forever.
Dude, this is fun. Is there anything
hilarious?
Is there anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't ask?
Just 10 burger for sure. But I mean, just briefly. I mean, it's been so conceptual, and it's taken so freaking long to get to a point of actual brick and mortar locations. And like it's like with CPG, like you can create X dollars worth of product and you can get the distribution. Signing leases for actual bricks is a major, and I think, I don't know if you said this or not, but you definitely know it. The service and food space is terrible. I mean, it's so hard. It's like the hardest space to make money in and to do right. But finally, we've got some good partners. We'll open probably LA, Miami, Vegas for sure.
Great one on the strip.
Yep, 100%. If we can find the right location in the near term. Nashville, Cleveland, Austin, I think are our target sites to start. And hopefully soon enough we'll have, you'll be able to finally have 1010 Burger. Right now it's just festivals, events, food weeks, that type of thing.
I really, really want to try 1010 Burger.
I want one right now. So
Jack is a burger
Graham
guy.
knows, and all my close friends know, burgers are like the food that when I was a kid, I mean, even now, if I go to a steakhouse, if I go to any restaurant and they have a burger, I don't even need to look at the menu. I get the burger anywhere I go. If they don't have a burger, I'm cooked. Like I don't know what I'm going to order.
So where do you live now?
I live in Vegas now. I grew up in SoCal.
Okay. So I'm like credibly able to talk about burgers everywhere.
Yeah.
Like I know the inventory of every city, like even on the NorCal side. But for Vegas, you guys finally got some representation there. So where are you going right now?
Dude, I don't.
In-N-Out.
I go to In-N-Out.
Okay.
Like just because it's easy. It's right next to my house.
I'm going to bless you right now. There's a burger in Vegas called Stay Tuned Burger.
I haven't had it.
It's in a bar off the strip. It is phenomenal. It is such a great burger, dude. I think I gave it like a 9.4 or 9.3, which for me, that's unheard of levels. Like my highest is like a 9.6 in San Antonio. There's one in Santa Barbara that's a 9.5 as well. Third Window Brewery. Obviously, LA's got a number of like 9.3s and 9.4s, but I'm telling you, Stay Tuned Burger is very good. It's in a bar. You have to go in. It's a really strange setup. And it's in like a bar.
Yeah.
And there's just a window and it's like almost like the bar's not called Stay Tuned. It's a different name and you go and you get the burger from there.
I'm going to get that burger and I'll let you know how it is.
I already know how you're going to enjoy it. Like my rating system is like tried and true.
So, and smash burgers are your top.
Yeah, but I have I've had every restaurant and Luger's and Fort Charles and everything.
What do you think of the Habit?
Habit is amazing. I think Habit's better than In-N-Out.
As far as chain is concerned, it's a good burger.
Okay.
And I mean, it was one of the first burgers I ever rated because Nade Shot was a fan. Mm-hmm. And so we did a rating of it at the 100 Thieves headquarters like 7 years ago or something like that. Habit's a good burger. For me, I always based a lot of my stuff on, as far as chains is concerned, on Shake Shack. And obviously a Smash really came up. But listen, like right now, as far as I know we're oversaturated on smash burgers. Everyone's tired of hearing about them. But truthfully, in a lot of the secondaries, they don't exist. You can't get one. It's Philly. You could get. It's not good. You maybe can't even get one. Nashville's got a place. I forgot the name of it now. But some of these cities have no smash burgers, none. Let alone the quality of the first time you ever tried a SoCal smash burger of like For the Win or Burger She Wrote or heavy-handed quality, where you're just like, my life just changed because of how the crispiness of the edges of this burger melted with the American cheese, the potato bun, this sauce. I don't want any other type of burger. People in Detroit haven't had that. So there's a hole in the market, and I intend to fill it.
Have you had Dang Burger in Santa Barbara?
No, but I feel like someone told me. I'm telling you, if you ever get a chance to go to Third Window Brewery in Santa Barbara, once, I think it's only, I don't know if it's every day, they have an American Wagyu smash burger there that's absolutely insane. But no, my number one still remains as last place in San Antonio. Yeah. Mark at Last Place Burger.
Well, I'm excited when you open it up in Vegas. I'll try it.
We're coming. We're coming for sure.
They look good. They look like
they look
burger
delicious. I was secretly hoping you would come with like 3 burgers. And
you would think to a business podcast, but I mean, I came without burgers and not think you would be talking about how to pick up chicks.
I also actually think that smash burgers are not as saturated as you think. Like, I think the pub burger is way too oversaturated. It's just not a great burger. It's a good one, but I think that it's overdone and they all taste kind of the same.
There's definitely so much more room in the market, and like you've just got other stuff going on, like Philip at NADC in Austin just opened in New York as well, and that's not even a smash. There's people doing nonsense. In my eyes, there's probably always room for more burger places. I had the same experience in life as you did as a kid. I grew up and it was the only thing I wanted, and it's still pretty much. I just can't all the time now, just because from a weight standpoint.
So we're gonna, I'm worried that my time's gonna come where I can't get a burger.
You're not there,
probably.
Yet, you got a lot of metabolism left in that body.
Thanks, man. All right, we're gonna do rapid fire questions just to round this out. Okay, what is your biggest insecurity?
Probably my inability to. This is such a meta answer. Like find that emotional closeness that I want. I know that's crazy. I don't know. Or also, I don't know, maybe my knees.
Your knees? You got like weird kneecaps or
no,
something?
I just have battered my body so badly that like my body's falling apart. Like my like true athleticism, maybe. I don't know. I've gotten to a point, I think as you get older, you just really shed a lot of insecurity. Like they still exist, don't get me wrong. Yeah, or like you kind of right size them with other things. I don't know. But there's nothing that I tremendously like dislike about myself. Right? Like, I don't know. I'm actually a pretty big fan of who I've become.
What is an invalid criticism you get all the time?
Probably that I think that people think that I like, certain people will think that I think like extremely like highly of myself to a point that if you ever met me out in person, that like I wouldn't be your best friend. You know what I'm saying? And like, I really do like, and I hope that someone that watches this show has met me in person before and has had a 20-minute conversation where they cried on my shoulder about their family or something like that, because I've had so many amazing interactions that like I feel like sometimes my delivery is a little bit askew from who I actually am as a person, which is like someone that like really does deeply care about other people. And I'm definitely imperfect and definitely like misunderstood because of the space that I'm in, but I think like that would be the thing. Like if anybody ever thought that like I just wasn't like a kind person, because like I truthfully like believe that that's like my biggest quality is like my ability to care for other people.
What's a valid criticism your mom would give you?
Oh my God. She definitely like doesn't like me like think like she definitely thinks I spend too much time with girls and just like wasting time on like that's like not super. And ironically, she might say that and this could potentially even be true. Like she might say that she might say that I care too much about myself. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe she would say that. I don't know. I called her today and I literally only asked about her the whole time specifically because one thing, my biggest strength, dude, truthfully, is my awareness. Like I'm super aware of like places where I'm starting to like mess up and need to do better in. And that I think is like the greatest skill you can ever have in life is like being aware of like your shortcomings. You know what I'm saying? And being able to right size them. But she would just say, dude, you are spending too much money. She's not the right girl for you. And you know, you shouldn't, you need to get more sleep and to eat better or like something like that. Moms just stay moms forever. Yeah. They never stop momming. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what level of success you have in any department. Moms are gonna mom, you know?
Does your frugality ever bother your wealthy friends?
Oh, no. It's their favorite joke. It's an ongoing joke.
What is something that you do that's cheap? Like, what are the main things that you cheap out on?
I really don't anymore. I think it became a joke, but like, dude, like I'll certainly like, I'm definitely going to be the guy like that. If we all get lunch together, I'm probably going to be like, all right, where are your cards at? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I mean, like some of these lunches are expensive, dude. Like if I'm,
what do you mean where are your cards at?
Like dude, like the bill comes, like I'm generally not like, okay, like I got this.
That's reasonable.
That's what I said. That's what I said. And these people have money too. So like the fact that they think that I should just like pay for or like, I don't know, like, I guess I'm just like, I always feel like there should be a fair distribution, if that makes sense.
I've gotten better at that too. Like sometimes like one person will order a soda and I'm like, well, they pay a few dollars extra because they got the soda.
For sure.
You know, it makes sense. To me, that's just...
I'm a fan of that. I think a fair distribution is really important. Like,
I think so.
Because you're aiming towards an equitable kind of like arrangement. And if you're not, then what are you doing?
Well, also, you know? Like it should be, sometimes it has to be proportionate. Like with Rich from Fashion Nova, for example, like he wants to do stuff that like I can't do. So like if he really wants me to come along, like unfortunately, dude, you have to have a disproportionate like dude, like there's no world where that yacht that you're talking about in south of France is in my budget. It's just not, dude. So like I can give you $10,000 maybe, but like you have to cover the other $800,000. Like I can't do it. There's nothing.
Is there a ratio though, or then it just seems like petty. Like if he's like, all right, give me the 10 grand.
No, I told him
like,
to do it. I told him recently to do it because he has friends that think that way. And they're like, oh, he's got billions. He's a decabillionaire.
Yeah.
Like he should just pay for everything. No, I don't think that's fair either. If it should be proportionate. At least, right? So if he's paying if he's paying X% of his money, which like it doesn't matter what he does, he can't even touch it. Like you should probably at least if that's only $12 for you, give me $12. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. I told him that the other night at his house. I said,
I think
like,
it's reasonable.
That's what I
understand that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's a weird.
It just becomes a point where it's like to give him $10 is not even worth his time.
No, he'd rather just not even touch the bill.
Exactly.
Because then we get sick.
All right, Mike. Cool. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Let's do this again. Let's do this again.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, watching it from Graham Stephan land and Iced Coffee land. And
thank you. Also, big shout out to White Glove Estates for giving us their showroom on Sunset Boulevard to film in. We'll link to their info down below in the description. Any luxury high-end remodels, furniture, staging, you name it, they handle all of it. It's really high quality stuff. I mean, solid wood.
Thank you guys. Till next time. See ya.